Cool. All right. Start off with, if you look around carefully, you might find a bulletin board that might have a poster on it that says something that might have to do with 3 rules for gun safe handling. I apologize that that is a little bit small and hard to read. I happen to have a copy of it here in my hand that might be easier to read. I want somebody to read that first always rule.
Always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction.
Everybody copy that? Yeah. What did he say?
Always point the gun in a safe direction.
Always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. So in order to understand that, what's a safe direction?
Safe direction is like down to the ground.
Could be. Yes, sir.
Away from you.
Away from anything where an accidental discharge might cause damage to people or property. On this range, what's the safe direction? Downrange, right? Always point downrange. Okay, what if I'm holding a rifle pointed in a safe direction? Say that's the safe direction. And somebody starts to walk in front of me. What should I do? Point it up. Because if I'm pointing it that way and someone walks in front of me, is that still a safe direction? Does the safe direction change? All the time, right? What if you live on the 2nd floor of a 4-story apartment? Is up a safe direction?
No.
Is down a safe direction? No. To the left or the right, safe direction? So you kind of have to do the best you can. Find the safest direction that you can. All right? Everybody understand that? That the safe direction changes. It's not always the same with the environment. And that covers that pretty well. All right. Stay there. What's the second safety rule?
Always keep your finger off the trigger until ready to shoot.
Everybody copy that? What's the second one?
Always keep your finger off the trigger until ready.
All right. So to understand that, what's the definition of ready to shoot? When are you ready to shoot up here? What's the next step? We're going to talk about the elements real soon, is after you've taken your breath. And I want everybody to be what we call indexing. When you hold the gun, I want your finger like that. Because that's called indexing. Your finger is not on the trigger. And it's not till after you take your breath, then you move your finger down to the trigger and you squeeze it. What if you held your breath too long and you start getting all wobbly? You've held your breath too long and you're trying to squeeze off the shot and you get all wobbly. What should you do?
Get your finger off the trigger.
Take your finger off the trigger, reset, and start the shot all over again. All right? What's the third? Whoa, a maneuver.
Always keep the gun unloaded until ready to use.
Okay, what's the last word of that one?
Use.
All right. What's the last word in the second one? They're different. Why are they different? What's the difference between ready to use and ready to shoot? Ideas. What do you guys think? What's the difference between ready to use a gun and ready to shoot a gun? All right, let's think about it this way. Does a police officer carry his gun loaded when he's on duty? How many say no? How many say yes?
Yeah.
How many don't care? All right. A police officer absolutely carries his gun loaded. It's in his holster. It is loaded because that gun is ready to use. It's not ready to shoot, but it's ready to use. It doesn't go down like this. Okay, bad guy, wait right there. Hold on. Let me get this. Don't run away. Let me get this loaded. I'll be ready. No, it doesn't work that way. That gun is ready to use. How many of you guys watch TV? Anybody ever watched a TV show in your life? I usually get quite a few of you. Do you ever watch cop shows? One thing that they get right on TV is indexing. When a police officer draws his firearm, he'll have his finger like that. And it'll stay like that until he's ready to shoot. Then he'll bring it down and put it on the trigger. A lot of times they're searching a building and they have some of their partners around with them. And they keep their finger off the trigger because that gun is not yet ready to shoot until he's made the decision to take the shot. Everybody get that? You understand the difference between ready to use and ready to shoot? Okay. Who can tell me why do they call a rifle a rifle? Why is it called a rifle? What? Because the barrel's rifled. What's that mean?
That means there's grooves that like curve inside of the barrel.
And what do they do? Why do they have grooves that curve inside the barrel?
It spins the bullet, so like it increases the precision.
Right. Anybody you guys ever throw a football? When you throw a football, do you put a spiral on it to make it spin? Why do you do that?
To make it go farther and faster.
More precise.
Yeah, it makes it more stable in flight. All right, so this is the barrel out of a gun. I want everybody to look through this from the breech side, and you'll be able to see what the rifling is. Just take that, look down it, and pass it to the next person. So what's the rifling do? What? Yes.
More aerodynamic.
It causes the bullet to spin, right? Okay. So when you look down that, when we talk about the caliber of a gun, what are we talking about? What's the caliber mean of a gun? Diameter of the bullet. All right. What do we shoot up here? What is that? 22. So that, what is that? 22 what? 22 feet? 22 miles?
2 millimeters.
Wrong. What? Anybody know? Yes. Nope. Get out of the metric system. Yes. 0.22 inches. So what's 0.25 inches? Is what? 0.25 inches is, if you have 25 cents, what coin do you have? A quarter. So would 0.25 be about a quarter of an inch?
Yeah.
So this is 0.22. So is that just under a quarter of an inch?
Yeah.
So when you look at that, would you say, that's just a little smaller than a quarter of an inch? All right. So what about 9 millimeter? What's 9 millimeter? This is 0.22 inches. What's 9 millimeter? It's 9 millimeter. All right. All right. What's 0.45? 45 caliber. What is that? 0.45 inches, so just under half an inch. The black powder rifles that we shoot up here, they're 50 caliber. So what are those? Go ahead. Half an inch, right? So you get the general idea. Okay, so that's the diameter of the bullet, right? You guys all looked at that rifling. When you look at that rifling, there's parts that are cut in, and then there's raised parts, right? If you look at this picture, there's parts that are cut in, and then there's a raised part. So what are those called? What's the part that's cut in? Anybody know? If you cut a slot or something, what's that called? You cut a valley.
Canyon?
Nope. Yes, sir. Huh?
Oh, a groove.
A groove. Exactly. So the part that's cut in is called a groove. Anybody know what the raised part is? That's a little tougher. That's not a common term. What's the raised part called? It's called the lance. All right? So we've talked about the bullet caliber is the diameter of the bullet. But let's talk about the barrel. Where do you measure that from? Do you measure that from the raised part or the lance to the lance? Do you measure that from the groove to the lance or from the groove to the groove? Where is that caliber measured in the barrel? What do you guys think?
The lands to the lands.
Wrong.
Grooves to the grooves.
Grooves to the grooves. Why?
Like the bullet fits into the grooves.
Exactly. Exactly. If you measured it from the inside part of that rifling, the bullet's just going to go right down the middle, right? It's not going to bite into the rifling and cause it to spin. Also, the gases that's produced from the powder burning would blow around the bullet through those grooves and wouldn't push the bullet out. So the caliber in the barrel is measured from the grooves to the grooves so that it fills the full barrel and the rifling bites into the bullet to cause it to spin. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
All right. Where's my gun? The three main parts of the gun. The three main parts.
The barrel.
The barrel. What part is the barrel?
Pretty sure it's this part.
The big pipe looking part right here, right? All right. What's another main part of the gun? The bolt, that's a sub part. Yes?
Handle.
That's a sub part. Nope, that's a sub part. Yes, sir.
Stock.
The stock. So what part on this gun is the stock?
This part.
All right, what's the easy definition to know what the stock is? Eli, grab that lever. What's the easy way of knowing what the stock is?
The back. It's going.
All right, how about this gun? What's the stock in that gun?
The back.
I'm looking for a more generic term. On that gun, could you say that the stock is the wooden parts? All the parts that are wood on that gun? How about this gun? All the plastic parts makes up the stock. Okay? So what's the third main part of the gun? It's called the action. You guys ever heard the term lock, stock, and barrel? I bought the farm. Lock, stock, and barrel. It's an old expression. You don't hear it too much anymore. That's talking about the three parts of a gun. You got the barrel, you got the stock, and back in the days, the action was called the lock. Match lock, flint lock, percussion lock, and that's the part that fired the gun. So more modern guns, it's called the action. So what's the action do? The action does three things. What are the three things that the action does? All right, you're really close, yeah. So the three jobs of the action is it loads the bullet, right? You put a bullet in here, you load it and close it. Then it fires the bullet, and then when you open up the bolt, what happens? What happens? It ejects the case. So what's the action doing? It's loading, firing, and unloading the gun, right? That's the three jobs of actions. It loads, fires, and unloads the gun. Stay there. All right, what about this one? What kind of action is this? Lever action. So when I go like that, what's it doing? Is it loading around? I pull the trigger. Is it firing it? And I go like that again. What's it doing? It's unloading the old spent casing and loading another one in. So what three jobs is that action doing? Loads, firing, and unloading, right? What about a semi-automatic? When you pull the trigger, what happens? When you pull the trigger in a semi-automatic, it fires a shot, right? The slide or the bolt comes back. It kicks out the old round. It strips a new one off the magazine and loads it. And then you pull the trigger again, it fires it. So what three things is the action doing?
It's pushing in the bullet. It's launching it, and then throwing up the casing.
Right. Or like I said, it's loading, firing, and unloading the bullet. That's the three things that the action does. All right. What kind of rifle is this? A bolt action. So where's the bolt? Right here. So that's one part of the action, is the bolt. What's another part of the action? Huh? The trigger. Exactly. The trigger. What's this thing that's around the trigger? Trigger guard. Yeah, because what's it do? It guards the trigger. So hence the name trigger guard. What's the switch right here?
Safety.
Safety. All right. So let's talk about some of the subparts of the stock. What is this part back here? Other guys have said it earlier. The butt. What's this part right here? Anybody know the name of that?
Dog.
It's called the comb or the cheek plate. That's right where you put your cheek right up against it when you sight down the rifle. All right, what's this part right here where you grip the gun? Where you grip the gun. The grip. Exactly. Strangely enough, where you grip the gun is called the grip. Who'd have thought? What's this part up here? Where you put your other hand. Forend, forearm, forestock. You'll hear different names for it. If this was a pump action shotgun, what would they call that? The slide handle or the pump handle, because it would serve two functions. It would serve where you hold the gun, and it would also serve to rack the next shot in. All right, let's talk about some of the subparts of the barrel. What's this part out here where the bullet comes out of? Huh? Muzzle. Exactly. What's this part right here? What sight?
Iron sight.
What? Well, that's the type, but what sight is that? Front sight. Why is it called the front sight? Because it's at the front. Okay. If that's the front sight, what do you suppose they call this one? Rear sight. Because it's at the rear. All right, so that's some of the main parts of the gun. The three main parts of a gun are what? Action, stock, barrel. Some of the subparts of the barrel: front sight, muzzle, rear sight. All right? What's the some parts of the stock?
The butt.
Butt, forearm, grip. Okay. And what's the subparts of the action?
The bolt, trigger.
Trigger guard,
and
bolt,
And what's the action do? What's the three jobs of the action?
loads,
tires.
Exactly. You guys are pretty smart. All right, let's talk about some of the elements of shooting. When you come in and we've told you to go down and sit down on your bench, what's the first thing you're going to do?
Put on head ear protection.
Okay, that I'm talking about more about getting in a position to fire the gun. Yeah, first step is get into position. So pick up bench. All right, Eli is going to demonstrate with that rifle how to get in position. What's the first thing he's doing? He's moving that bench the correct side, right? His feet are flat in the ground. He's moving all the old brass out of the way. Where's his elbows? Where's his elbows at? Both elbows are on the table, right? Has he adjusted that bench so it's the right height? You want to rotate that bench. So see how it rotates and makes different heights? You want to get that adjusted to the right height. Notice that the muzzle is pointing well past the end of the bench. Okay? So that's the first step, is getting into position. All right? What's the next step? Nope. Well, okay, you can load it, but we're actually going to practice some shots with dry firing. So as far as the elements of shooting, what's the next step? You're in position. You got your feet flat. You're on the bench. Everything's ready. What's the next step? Do you have to aim?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, if you aim, how do you aim? How do you do that? What do you do?
Align your eye with the sight and the sight with the other sight.
Okay. But there's a problem. Wait a minute. Can your eye focus on something that's a few inches away, and something that's 2 feet away, and something that's 50 feet away, all at the same time?
Yes.
No. Your eye can't focus on something that far from your face, 2 feet from your face, and 50 feet from your face all at the same time. So where do you focus? What do you focus on? What? Well, not you. Where do you focus your eye? Huh? Nope, wrong. What? Somebody said front sight. Front sight. So you take that blurry target, put it in the front sight, and then put that front sight in the blurry rear sight. It's actually illustrated over here on this bulletin board. What color is the front sight printed on this? Gray. No, the front sight. That part's the front sight. What color is that printed? Black. All right. What color is the bullseye printed? What color is the rear sight printed? So they're trying to illustrate that the black is clear and focused, and the gray fuzzy front sight is in the middle of the gray fuzzy target is in the middle of the front sight, and then you put the front sight in the middle of that fuzzy rear sight. But you focus your eye on the front sight. All right? So now you're all focused in, you're aligned on the target. What's the next step? We're going to dry fire. We've already loaded the gun. So what's the next step as far as elements of shooting? Yes, sir. Breathe. How do you breathe? Huh? Take a breath in, let part of it out, and hold it. Why do we hold our breath?
So it doesn't shoot that way.
Right. Because when you're breathing, are you going like this? Right? Now that's exaggerated. You're not moving it that much, but you are moving the rifle when you're breathing. So you want to hold your breath. So you're holding the rifle still as possible, and from here on out, all we're trying to do is fire the shot without moving that gun. So the next step is take a breath, let part of it out, and hold it. Are we still indexing?
Yes.
What's the next step?
You shoot.
Right, and how do you do that?
Move the index finger down to the trigger.
Right, move your finger down to the trigger, and do you jam it back real fast?
No.
How do you squeeze the trigger? Slowly, very slowly. All right, I'm starting my pull. I'm starting my pull. I'm starting my pull. I'm still pulling the trigger. That's how long. I want you to pull the trigger like this. Literally that slow. If you jam the trigger back, you're pulling the gun, right? And so the whole idea is to hold on the sights and hold that as still as possible and pull the trigger without moving the gun. So that's the fourth step of shooting. What's the last one? Everybody know? It's called follow through. So what's follow through? What's follow through? Yes. Say it again. Re-engage what? Yeah. What I like, follow through is staying in position. After you fired the shot, you bring your trigger down, you fire the shot, you want to stay in position. I think a good way to do that is after you fire the shot, reacquire your sight picture. Line up the sights again after you've taken your shot. Why do we want to do that? Why do you want follow through? Because we don't want you guys getting in the habit of what we call prairie dogging, where you fire the shot and you go, did I hit it? Did I hit it? Because if you get in the habit of moving right after you fire the shot, you may get in the habit of moving before you fire the shot, and that's going to affect your aim. So it's good practice to follow through, which is reacquire the sight picture after you've taken the shot. All right? And the guys in the shotgun class, how do you pull the trigger in the shotgun? It's different. Who's my shotgun person? Or two people? Do you slowly squeeze the trigger in the shotgun? No, because you're firing at a moving object. You don't have time to slowly squeeze the trigger. So in shotgun, I call it slap. You slap the trigger back. All right? And then in shotgun, what's follow through? After you follow the bird, after you've taken the shot, you continue to follow the bird or the path of what the bird would have been flying. So you stay on target, you go pull, you run them along, and then you continue to follow the arc of the bird. All right, in shotgun, when do you put your finger on the trigger? Because remember, the second rule is keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. When are you ready to shoot in shotgun?
Once you have sights on your target.
You don't have sights on target on the bird. It's flying through the air. When you yell pull, when you want the bird to launch, you yell pull. So when you're getting ready, you're indexing like this, you go pull, put your finger on the trigger and follow it, shoot it, and then continue on follow through. Everybody got that? How am I doing for time? All right. So you might be asking, what do I have to do to get this merit badge? Anybody wondering that? Okay, to get this merit badge, you have to shoot 5 groups of 5 shots that I can touch with a quarter. How many shots?
5.
5. Everybody count 5.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Everybody know what 5 is?
Yeah.
All right, let's go with this. How many holes are in that block?
5.
5. How many holes are on the red side of that block? How many holes are on the white side of that block? Do you think that's by accident? Or is there a reason there's 5 on the white side, 5 on the red side, 5 in this block? We've done the math for you. How many shots do you shoot at a bullseye?
5.
Why am I making such a big deal of this?
So we can get our merit badge.
Yeah, and half of you guys will screw that up. The biggest problem I see with scouts trying to qualify for this merit badge is they cannot count to 5. You have to be able to count to 5, because if you fire 4 shots at this bullseye, it's no good. If you fire 6 shots, it's no good. You have to fire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on down the line in order to qualify. You do that 5 times. Then after you do that, we'll move on to the 3s, where you'll start firing 3 shots at a bullseye. The 5s I have to be able to touch with a quarter. The 3s I have to be able to cover with a quarter. Understand that subtle but distinct difference between touch and cover? Okay. And if you get that done, you 5 3s, 5 5s, you qualify for the merit badge. The shotgun guys might be asking, well, what do we have to do to qualify? You have to break 12 out of 24 pigeons, 25 pigeons, thank you, 2 times. So you break 12 out of a round of 25, and then you do that again, 12 out of a round of 25. So you need to break about half of them. The ones that you shoot at, you need to break about half of them. Any questions? When you guys signed up for the class, you signed up for classroom period 1 and a qualifying period, periods 3, 4, 5, or 6. You do not have to come during that time. You can come up any time to qualify. The range is open and hot periods 3, 4, 5, and 6. Come up any time to qualify. We don't care what, you don't have to come to the session that you signed up for. All right, yes sir.
So today, let's say you have period 4, rifle again. So what would you do?
You can come up and qualify then, or you can come up anytime and qualify. Any other questions? All right, that's all, folks. You're done. We will see you tomorrow for class here at session 1, and then come up anytime you can and do the qualifying. Got it? All right, see you guys later.